AI and robots have some incredible new skills, and they point to a hidden reason why Musk bought Twitter. Look how well this AI explains complex jokes.
I think I understand why me and my partner are such a good match. I get excited when I smell food and become super alert when the doorbell rings. My girlfriend Shelley becomes ecstatic when she sees a person who she just saw 5 hours ago.
This joke is about dogs. Dogs get excited when they smell food and when the doorbell rings. The girlfriend is excited to see someone she just saw 5 hours ago, which is a trait of dogs.
Musk has taken over Twitter, saying he wants to defeat the spam bots and authenticate all humans. He may also use it to try and get people comfortable with radical developments, like mass-produced robots. Musk has said he thinks there'll be a robot in every home. There are also some impressive new AIs with more narrow skills. They can bring photos to life, like this one from 1875, known as the Mona Lisa of the Pacific Islands. Here's President Lincoln, colorized and made younger. AI is also enhancing realism in films and changing the way they're made. Green screens are being replaced with LED screens, creating realistic reflections and colours on the actors. Familiar lighting styles can make a scene feel a bit fake, and more natural light and reflections can make a big difference. As the camera moves, the LED background updates to match it, and the background can also move more quickly to create a sense of depth. And AI can make extraordinary edits, like adding flowers to this dress which wrinkle with the fabric, or completely changing the setting of a scene. Animatronics are also advancing, like this impressively flexible giant hand. This AI can take images of a place and fill in the gaps to create a 3D environment. This area of San Francisco was recreated with photos. AI like this will be used to recreate the world in the metaverse. And this AI from MIT can take a voice recording and show roughly what the person looks like. This year, Tesla will remove radar sensors from new cars to focus on its vision-based system, supported by 12 ultrasonic sensors. Radar can see through things like fog and snow, where cameras can't, so removing them shows a lot of confidence in the AI. The new factory will also produce a dedicated robotaxi and Tesla's humanoid robot, Optimus. Musk said the robot will completely change the economy. He said it'll do anything that humans don't want to do, and change the world more than self-driving cars by creating an age of abundance. There's also a huge risk. Musk recently said there'll be a safety chip on the robot that will shut it down if someone says stop, stop, stop. And he said the chip couldn't be updated over the air. You can imagine the kind of situations he's thinking of. Tesla's robots will have more powerful training than current AIs, which already exceed humans on knowledge and are quickly learning the meaning of it.
So a few main points from that whole weirdness of artificial creativity and artificial consciousness is first just the whole theme here that the rate of exponential change is itself increasing. So with some exponentials, you just have this coefficient that drives the exponential, and then other types of exponentials, the rate of exponential change itself changes over time. And the development of these biologically inspired deep learning neural nets is one of those things that's moving way faster than Moore's law, right? So Moore's law was a kind of ordinary exponential where processing speed of computers has been doubling every 12 to 18 months. But this exponential is much steeper. So things are about to get weird. This Google result, as I mentioned, just happened within the last few months. And as mentioned, these computer minds are now passing the Turing test with flying colors. But not everybody agrees that passing Alan Turing's test for computer consciousness means that it's conscious. Who says we have to agree with Alan Turing? On the other hand, those people arguing about that themselves are not defining what consciousness is in the first place. So I find it strange to argue about something that you can't even define, or you can't even agree on with the other person you're arguing with as to the definition of consciousness. Science and medicine can study the behaviors of consciousness, but not literally define consciousness. The second point is that this intelligent technology can help with our work here at Quantum Gravity Research, and I just wanted you to get a flavor for that. I don't know how we would ever get access to Google or anybody else's incredibly state-of-the-art, next-generation, strong AI in the first place. But money always helps with these types of things in terms of accessing resources, so that's one way. But I do think that it would be very interesting to see what a science fiction level, next generation, strong AI could do in terms of helping us, since our work here is so computational in orientation. Moderna recently discovered their COVID vaccine by asking a strong AI engine to play around with an enormous number of molecular recipes. And that would have taken them, formerly, if they didn't use that approach, about 10 years to go through all those different molecular recipes. And this strong AI did it in 72 hours and identified the optimal molecule for their vaccine. Next year, this breakneck speed that we're seeing this year and the first few months of this year is supposed to pick up speed, which is amazing, because this year it's just breathtaking. Things are changing faster and faster. I mentioned earlier how Google's Palm has 540 billion parameters. So Lambda is kind of at that level where Palm is. Now, some experts believe that we'll surpass 100 trillion parameters at some point in 2023. And the reason why you'd go from half a trillion to 100 trillion in a matter of months is because scaling is easy. That's trivial for companies like Google. The hard part was discovering these recent advances in the deep neural net architecture, this mysterious black box that Peter Shor mentioned in a previous quote. So it's important to understand that, number one, we're seeing unexpected or unpredicted early progress here in 2022. Not that the progress wasn't expected, it's the timing of the progress that was not expected. And this is all for classic computational power. It has nothing to do with Moore's law, right? That's a much slower doubling algorithm than what's going on now. Number two, we're on the precipice of breakthroughs that will allow us to synthesize advanced multi-trillion neuron, non-deterministic, classic, strong AI complex systems with the almost otherworldly power of future breakthroughs in quantum computation. There are some things I want us here at QGR to use this next level of future computation for. I'd like it to ask me and others of you questions about what we have in mind for quantum gravity. What's our favorite set of parameters or restrictions, right? So we can call those questions like filters. These restrictions, we'll call them filters. Then the AI can use those restrictive filters to do the time-consuming creative synthesis and exploration work, plus the visual mapping, right? Remember the representation network and bringing the complex to simpler human-level representations. And generally organizing all of the findings from a level of creative exploration within our parameters. that we could never do in a million years. Like literally, if we had a million years, we still couldn't do it. We would start with a focus on the mapping of Fourier spectral representations of various simple program probability distributions of two cycle clock systems. Because I have a funny feeling that it's the Fourier, or the spectral representation, that is where we're gonna find great value. So this will allow us humans to quickly go to the next exploratory step in a rapid iteration process, as well as collaborate with the AI by adding our own novel questions and creative syntheses of physics ideas into these discussions, these collaborations. I also want to use it to map our growing C5C network of algebras in a new way, novel representations that it might be able to find that we wouldn't easily find. And then I would want to ask the AI for suggestions on representation maps to the known network of quantum field theories. So that all sounds impossible, right? Or improbable. Maybe it is, but we can at least agree that things are changing faster. And we can agree that change tends to make the impossibilities of today the possibilities of tomorrow. So if this were only 15 years ago when things were changing less quickly, then it would be even more ridiculous for me to say that we've got probabilities or plausibilities. On June 30th, Scientific American reported this article. We asked GPT-3 to write an academic paper about itself, and then we tried to get it published. So an artificially intelligent first author presents many ethical questions and could upend the scientific publishing process. This is a computer scientist who was responsible for that AI that wrote that novel paper. As it started to generate text, I stood in awe. Here was novel content written in academic language with well-grounded references cited in the right places and in relation to the right context. It looked like any other introduction to a fairly good scientific publication. So things are changing faster. Here's the deal. We're not going to have an awakening as a species that avoids the cliff that we are careening toward unless we achieve a deeper understanding of the ontological nature of reality, a new mythos that is worthy of the 21st century. The religion or the philosophy of materialism is an ancient Greek tale. In light of 21st century physics, it seems increasingly reasonable it is an incorrect story. That falseness would be fine with me, like most religious philosophies are. I have got no problem with anybody's religion or mythos, if it weren't so damn dangerous. And I'm going to be making an argument that this religion or mythos of materialism has not served us well and is a philosophical co-conspirer in where we're at so far with the doom and gloom stuff I showed you earlier. The dominant world religion or mythos is not Buddhism, Islam, or Christianity. Not anymore. It's the philosophical guess that materialism is the correct mythos, story, religion, or philosophy. There is no scientific evidence for it. And this fable permeates the current practice of science, military behavior, and socio-political organization on this biosphere. Our destructive behavior is unified globally by this mythos that unifies secular society under the materialistic philosophical worldview. Now, don't get me wrong, Because someone completely off the grid, who's a materialist, could be walking so lightly on the planet that they are not participating in the looting locust swarm with the rest of us. And there's nothing inherently wrong, just like in its stripped down self, this notion of materialism. But what I do have a problem with is bad scientific theories. And the ontology of physics is always part of any physical theory. The problem is that if future science does turn out to allow for a non-religious, spiritual type of reality, the spiritless religion of materialism might just turn out to be told by historians as a philosophical driver of our current short-term and selfish thinking. Materialism is not as rich a scientific story as the self-simulation hypothesis. And it's grounded in a lot of tired old viewpoints that stem originally from religion, and then later from the now known to be incorrect classical Newtonian view of reality that originated in ancient Greek philosophy. If I am biased, it is not because some of us here at QGR have rationally deduced this hypothesis to be true. It's because the current mythos is the story on duty at the imminent collapse of human society and progress. It's the presiding governor enjoying a term in office when we are nearly at the edge of a dangerous cliff. Again, materialism is not a view supported by any evidence of the scientific method. Instead, it is a deep stretch, a mere philosophical guess that masquerades as being scientific, like an uninvited imposter at a party posing to look legitimate. And I should know, because I was punked by this philosophy for most of my life. If you expect mankind to transcend and become less selfish, do not bet on technology alone, and certainly not materialism. It ain't working. And that is especially evident this year, as shocking increases in ultra-high technology are occurring while the world becomes more selfish and hateful and dangerous. We have recently surpassed a full 25% of adults having a diagnosable mental illness. Good percentage of us in this room by that statistic, right? We are collectively going insane. The incumbent mythos of materialism is not working for us. Technology and materialism are not abating the growing mental health crisis. We are using the term materialism in the technical, academic sense of the term used in philosophy studies. We're not using the typical meaning of that term, which would describe a person seeking to possess material things. Materialism is the philosophy that reality is made of matter or energy versus the more modern idea that reality is made of information. We need a more transcendent, official scientific worldview, such as the self-simulation hypothesis. And the best way for us to introduce this new idea into the global conversation so that people can debate it and make up their own minds is to do two things. First, convert money, energy into a form of co-created thought called conversation and debate. We will do this by funding grants, scientific contests, conferences, video productions, and so on. The second is to keep working toward evidence. Emergence theory, as a potentially realistic quantum gravity theory, will serve as evidence, at least circumstantial evidence, of the self-simulation hypothesis. So believe the impossible as you surf this mounting wave of increasing change. It's the only shot you've got at pulling off the impossible. In other words, don't fall prey to the trap of overly conservative thinking about the rate of change or the audaciousness of what is possible as a group of scientists working here, thinking that we can do something this improbable. Ride the wave of changing official viewpoints, breathtaking and unexpected advances in science, and evidence of a weird reality, not at all like the classic picture we've been trained by past culture to believe is true. Shit is getting weird. and creepy in some ways, and mystically magical with hope in other ways. It's driven by an accelerating range of change of what we formerly thought we knew. So ride that awareness of this change within the mystery of your own consciousness when you have fear and limiting thoughts about what we can and can't achieve and how fast.